Isn't it?
Yes, it is. The harbor was originally built in 1973, so it needed to be rebuilt. It was 30 years later. There was some of the piers we changed to better suit our ship. Naturally, we had to do some dredging, so we put new power lines out to where the ship is, and water lines and all of that was replaced and upgraded, and recapped the pier. So it's just a wonderful facility. We're working on fixing the east side of the harbor, which we still have a shallow water portion within the harbor that has to be dredged, and we want to put a wall up on the east side.
Okay.
So we're not quite finished yet, but we're close.
Mm-hmm.
But the harbor is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gorgeous.
And does some of the money for that, some of that come from the state of Michigan through the waterways or
no,
federal government? Or?
The Great Lakes campus was approximately $18 million project. The money for the harbor came from private donations that our college relations department raised the money for that, and so it was not any of the state money.
Okay.
That went into that. It was private.
Well, that's
And,
interesting.
it's a beautiful harbor. Beautiful
Yeah.
harbor.
Let's talk a little bit about cadet life. What does it mean to be a cadet? You wear a special uniform, or?
All state maritime academies were required by federal. It's the agreement when you're established state maritime academy that there'll be discipline. Part of the discipline is a uniform. And if I could explain what a state maritime academy is,
Sure.
It's a very unique federal-state partnership. As I said, there's only 6, and it took an act of Congress in Washington, both Senate and House, and the state of Michigan had to reciprocate in 1969 when we were established. The state of Michigan agreed, again the House and Senate. The governor at that time, Governor Milliken, signed, and Great Lakes Maritime Academy was created. It was assigned to Northwestern Michigan College.
Interesting. Milliken, Traverse City, Northwest Michigan College.
That's correct. It all fit. The stars lined up for Les Biederman and the pioneers at that time to have a maritime academy. So there's those requirements. So the student has to go through background checks when they first come into the program. We have a random mandatory drug testing plan students are on. We take attendance to class, so it's stricter than the normal college would be. But the rewards are there as far as a well-paying job, and a disciplined environment makes you a better employee.
Mm-hmm. What kind of programs are available then for a cadet?
Programs.
Like on the ships, you mentioned some training possibilities, or coursework, I guess, would be a better way to phrase it.
The coursework, the classes we have at Great Lakes, in the navigation side, we have navigation, number 1, which is a terrestrial navigation. We get into celestial navigation, electronic navigation. We have a wonderful radar simulation laboratory. So the students are all well versed on different phases of navigation as far as those particular courses. Same thing with the engineering. We have a beautiful diesel lab, and as I mentioned, an electric lab before. And of course the state of Michigan. It's a working lab. Students do everything when the ship leaves. The students steer the ship right out of that harbor and make sure that the engines are on and everything's working like they would on a ship.
Now you mentioned a couple times the engineering factor of Maritime Academy. Do some cadets, do they just want to be engineers and work in I guess the engine department?
Correct. Yeah.
What kind of things are involved there?
Well, in the engineering department, as I said earlier, those particular students run, the engine plant is either a diesel plant on the Great Lakes or steam. So our graduates are well versed in both. They've had classes and training on both of those type of operations. They make sure that they're running properly, efficiently, so that the ship is propelled through the water as directed by the captain. And then they make sure that the electronics are working, the electric system's working, and all of those components. Power plant operators really do the same thing in a power plant ashore. In fact, many of our graduates have went to work in power plants around the nation.
Okay, and that's kind of a nice segue. Let's say you get a 4-year degree from the Maritime Academy. You've spent time out on the boat. You decide you're really not interested in spending that much time out there. How can you use this degree for other professions?
Well, number one, it's a business degree, so
Okay.
the sky's the limit there as to what you can do. But you do have the maritime credentials. And the maritime credentials are, because of the international standards I mentioned earlier, are very hard to come by. Not many people have them anymore. It's a stricter environment as to who can possess them, and it's with great sacrifice and hard work. So the engineering graduate, for instance, could go to work in a power plant, something of that nature. They have a great knowledge of steam and then diesel, where that would take them. The navigation side, there's many service areas that would, insurance work, for instance, having to do with shipping, agents. These are the people when a ship comes into port that would help the ship decide how to solve problems, especially when a foreign ship comes into the Great Lakes. They're going to need fuel, and so the agent would help them with fuel and any other needs that ship would have, food and those types of things. So the sky's the limit.
Okay. You know, shipboarding training, that occurs also during the 4 years, as you mentioned previously.
Yeah, they're aboard ship for 9 months of the 4-year project.
Okay. Well, you have obviously some classes that are coming up, I would assume. How do you begin to investigate whether you're interested in the maritime life? Do you contact the college, see when the classes start? Where are you? Today's March, obviously,
yeah.
and I'm not sure when this will actually show, but there must be, you know, semesters. Do you work on semesters?
Yeah, we're on semesters, and our next class that will come in in August.
And then that class will graduate 4 years from now.
4 years from that time,
And
yes.
so really you're in a small class of students, 15 students you get to know pretty well.
Well, that is, what we try to do is recruit up to 60 students. This class will probably be around 50 students that will come in. Our problem is we're a very quiet, small program within the state of Michigan, and the industry is very quiet on the Great Lakes, and people don't have a notion that it's even there. So that's a problem we have recruiting. But if you do like the water, and you do have self-confidence, you're a person that likes to solve problems, handle different problems every day, scenery changes every day that you're on a ship, and the type of person that wants immediate feedback on what you do. Because many jobs today, you do your job and you don't see anything happen. Maybe for a month or months.
This is pretty immediate.
This is immediate. Yes, it is. You piloted the ship well, or the engineer did their good job today, or not. You know that. So that's a very unique job in that capacity.
Okay, certainly something to investigate. How, where do people who are watching this call or write or website?
Well, call Great Lakes Maritime Academy in Traverse City. We will take your calls, and you can look at the website of Northwestern Michigan College. And
when in Traverse City, certainly just stop by and see the beautiful building.
We'd love to talk to you, yes.
Yeah, well, thank you for your time today, and thank you for spending some time to talk about the Great Lakes Maritime Academy. Certainly a jewel in northern Michigan, a jewel for the Great Lakes, and I certainly appreciate it, and I hope the viewers do too.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Yep, and thank you for tuning in today.